We're back at it, and today we've got a special interview with Ghost. So we're gonna get into that. For some of you may know Ghost already. First of all, this song is fire. I want to just give a shout out to Ghost for sharing that video, and I looked up the artist because I've never. So dope. Well, that's another thing I want to talk about, which is like the music, where like flex dance music now where it is, and just tracing it back to what were they sampling? What was the music being sampled? So I'm excited to have Ghost here and just ask him questions about Bruck Up, just the style itself, the elements, the unrealness, BSV, what was that? Where is it now? So let's have Ghost. Ghost.
What's up?
What's up, man? How you feeling?
Chilling, man. Chilling.
Chilling. Ah, man. Well, first of all, really appreciate you taking this time right now to share, like, just the knowledge, the history, all of it. Honestly, I appreciate that. Like,
Anytime, man.
like I just real quick, like, first time I think I came across a video of yours was when you performed at the Apollo Theater.
Mm-hmm.
That one clip I tagged, that was like the first on YouTube. I was just scrolling
Mm-hmm.
and I saw that clip. And then somehow I went down the rabbit hole and found a video of you and G Nerd when you guys
Mm-hmm.
battled.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just kept on, down the rabbit hole. But yeah, man, I mean, I guess, well, first of, how would you like to introduce yourself? How would you? Yeah, I'll just let you take it.
Hello. How you doing? For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Albert Esquilin Jr., better known as the Ghost of New York, or BSV Ghost, or I have a couple names throughout the years, but those are the most prominent. Um, I'm a pioneer of the New York Bruck-up style, and as well pivoting and possession and freeform style Bruck-up.
Wow.
I've been dancing over 24 years now, and yeah, that hopefully that sums it up.
Yeah, no. And that even in that, even what you're saying, I have so much questions of what it means to be free form. What does it mean, new Bruck Up? What does that mean? But before we go into that, a little bit of what inspired this interview, just for people to know that are listening. And people that are listening, tuning in, feel free to ask a question if there's something you want to know. Like, here's the source. Like, this is a great opportunity for you to get to the closest source. Um, what inspired this interview was because Madeline and Xavier, which I believe are in the same crew that correct under you,
Mm-hmm.
and they were teaching, or they're having a Bruck Up session in LA now that they're in LA. So I went to that, and I was, that was my first time uh, learning from someone close to the source. So I was asking them certain questions, and then it just so happened that you had a live like a couple days later. I forget who you were talking to, but I was asking some questions about framing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you hit me up back, and you were like, "Hey, like, let me know if you want to talk about it. We could go into details." So that's kind of what inspired this whole interview. But I wanted to ask you, like, how did you get into dance in the first place?
As a kid, I was always a fan of Michael Jackson.
Mm.
I used to see certain performances from him online. Um, but basically, I was influenced from the moonwalk, seeing the moonwalk. Literally, the moonwalk is the catalyst here.
Mm.
So I seen the moonwalk, and I'm like, yo, that was crazy, but I wish I could do stuff like that. I could do something like that. And I always was a fan of, like, footwork. I would do like some of the basic stuff that you do as a kid when you're first trying to glide and slide,
Right,
the
right.
little merry-go-round glide where you go in a circle and you kick out one leg, and just a little side glide. You see the usher thing. So I started like picking up pieces
Mm.
of like seeing things that influenced me from gliding, like even down to like the Maya video.
Mm.
So it was like little things sprinkled. To answer this question quickly, um, small background on that. I have no idea what the point of trying to call me out was about, but I am very well versed with people, and I'm not gonna say that I'm cool with anyone actually, except for the people that are, you know, around me or in my circle or fighting for this thing. You know, I have some friends, whatever, you know, but I mean, like, people like that, it's never cool, because if you can even think to call me out, then obviously you got an agenda. So no, if I was to run into Asha, I would probably flame broil him still, just to answer your question.
Mm.
Iceberg. But anyway, I think where was I? Was
Of how you were getting into dance, you were picking up. You said you were
yeah,
picking
yeah,
up the glide.
yeah. I was picking. I was yeah. I was literally like cherry picking things throughout the time of seeing like just gliding being done in industry work. Usher,
Mhm.
Genuine. Genuine was definitely a good influence because he had a lot more to show, and that was pretty much it for me. So I used to just emulate those things,
Right.
and it's so funny because Bruck Up came around and all I had was me acting and dramatizing glides, and I could not get into the stuff that
Interesting.
my cousin, my friends that were around him that were also doing it. I used to see them and be like, can't even fathom the way to get into that movement or move like that at the time.
Mm.
So it's crazy because there's a whole thing with that. But if that sums it up, that's where I started, mostly Michael Jackson, and being influenced from the whole footwork style itself. Period.
Okay. And then how did you get into Bruckup? When did that, how can you added that into your
Right.
essence?
Right.
Yeah.
But actually, you're gonna probably be surprised about this. But I couldn't do things, so I had to basically partake on my own, you know, trial and error and improv.
Mm.
And what happened was that being that I have mostly like at the time it was mostly like I just knew how to do like glides, like you know certain glides,
Mm.
and I spent a lot of time being around my cousin. And mind you, we talking about junior high school days. Like he used to, you know, he was like the life of the party in every situation. Like he would come
Mm.
and and mind you, he was like the best reflection of George Adams Bruckup
Uh,
himself in
okay.
Brooklyn because he used to like emulate him a lot, right? And he, you know, being that I used to be with him everywhere, you know, it was like I was like the damn near like the sidekick as much as I used to be with my cousin. And I wanted to get into it, and I just had like one this breakthrough one night where I would listen to the music, like the reggae that I would hear, you know, I would pick up some myself, and I just started trying to adapt what I would do to those patterns of beats. And
Mm.
what happened was is that I ended up becoming the only person doing gliding to reggae in Brooklyn.
Wow. Okay.
So, you know, if you know how the style works, it's very musicality based. You know, we're always, you know, I actually would say this and with pride and not be worried about the debate. But I think we have the best musicality in the world, like in Brooklyn, like
Mm.
the best. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And thing is, I basically started to train my feet to step on the beats instead of pop at it, or instead of frame towards it, or instead, you know, I don't even know if we were doing neck locks back then, but all of the things that they were doing to, you know, on beat, I would basically step on beat and then pull back, and I started to build like this attack gliding thing where I would just walk on all the beats. You know,
Right.
I could basically just patternize all around my feet constantly because it was my only tool.
Right.
And what I did was I taught myself the rest of the fundamentals feet up. So I created,
Interesting.
I created like sequences to trick my body into doing said like effect.
So you're saying, let me, if I hear you correct, you started with the feet up, so your feet, whatever your feet were doing, the rest of your body was kind of following with it, like having to
In a,
learn,
in,
or
in a sense, because some of the things I do now to explain, to make you just to answer that
yeah,
question,
yeah, yeah.
when I do framing, those are not self-created patterns.
Mm.
Those are patterns my feet have already done.
Mm.
You know what I
Mm.
mean? So
Mm.
I'm replicating the
The
you get what I'm saying?
the footwork, you're
The foot
replicating that with your body.
right. So that was my way to get into frames. So my frame patterns, my earliest frame patterns, and even some that I still use to this day, are like literally taught from my feet up. You know what I mean? It's me reenacting those things.
Wow.
Until I was able to, you know, piggyback off of the footwork steps and then go, okay, I can just, you know, I can now. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Start from the feet to the top.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. Going into it. So Bruckup, for people that don't know what Bruckup is, what would you say? What is Bruckup?
Well, first off, I would say the word "bruck up" means broken
Mm.
in
Okay.
Jamaican slang.
Mhm.
And with that being said, think about, if anyone's familiar with the way popping is, the art of it, the depth of it, you could think of us as like popping for ghetto kids in Brooklyn in the 90s without knowing how to do it. So we were literally replicating things. And dancehall was pretty much the catalyst for us then as far as the starting process. So reggae dancehall, we got into that. The girls was whining and doing this and that. And once we got the shoulder pop and the bruck up, it was like, okay, the guys got something we can do and entertain as well. But a lot of dancehall moves, I can call out a couple for anyone who's familiar with dancehall, or at least the dancehall from the era that I'm from. Like things like the log on and the skittle and the prong and the heel and toe and
Mm.
the Rupert. It's a lot of dance styles, but if I was to show you these moves or explain these moves, like the Rupert is like the stepping move you see us do when we hover left to right, and it looks like
Yeah.
our whole body's like wave.
Okay.
That's the Rupert, right?
Interesting.
Basically the creature waving stuff came from us cutting the hips off of that and just working with the arms. That's how we got into creature waving, and that's why it's always curled and unloads only, no take in. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot. It's
That's
it's a
no,
lot.
it's beautiful though because of just the depth and the layers, on top of it that's being built.
Hmm.
Wow.
So from that, you would say, uh, like the log on, right? The log on is a leg move, so it's like a little kick out with the knee, and then you step in and kick back out. So that stuff created a lot of the leg movement that we would have attached to the horse stance.
Mm.
So that's how we started to like actually like build past the shoulder pop and started to basically follow beats, make drawing lines, drawing angles in our body and stopping, and that's how the framing kind of came out. But we literally had squirrels and pigeons and swallows to look at to get that effect. Once we start to understand what it was to replicate things, or realizing that we have some type of illusion in what we're doing, and being able to go, okay, what's next?
Mm.
And that's when the emulating things and trying to look like stuff. We didn't even know that we were partaking in something so deep, which is emulation, period. But we picked it up naturally, like, oh, trying to go outside of what's given. We don't want to take dance and bring it to our dance. We want to take things from life and make it dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that brings it to another level. Like you said about animals, looking at different. I know you mentioned when we were texting or messaging about like the frog's
So
breathing,
so you see
or
my hips.
yes,
The lock is literally a weaponized pulse,
a
right?
weaponized pose. Interesting.
Hmm. So, but the original, you see how I'm doing it now?
Yes, you're like extending and coming in,
That was
retracting.
the way it used to be done because it represented a little bit more of trying to emulate the frog
Wow.
until we actually got the contraction out of it and it became a little bit more masterful, a lot more sleek,
So then you're
So
just
now
in
it's like,
place. You're just like
see, it's different. If I'm doing it now, it looks more like an animator's tool.
yes.
Yeah.
That is so. That's wild. Okay. Why? Okay. First, I want to say, I love how you say like the word you use, emulating, to look at something and to replicate or to copy it. I know, like when popping, like at least the people that I'm around, they're like, oh, like look at like animate it, like you want to animate the thing. But I don't know. I like the word emulate. I don't know. I just feel like there's something more taking it onto you
To
with
help
that
you
word. I don't know.
better understand,
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut your wisdom, to
No.
help you better understand, emulation is the process.
The process.
Emulation is the process of sewing in like something and making it, like we say, second nature. So you will replicate and emulate the thing so much, so much, so much. But once you have it honed and you're able to redistribute it, you're able to tweak it. You're able to kind of control it and deliver it in a way. It's almost like, for yourself as a dancer, right?
Mhm.
With certain things that you do that you have that pocket, you have that understanding to kind of like have people tap into you when they're watching and go, oh, something's happening right now, because you have like a fixed animation that works. You already know it. It's mastered.
Mm-hmm.
You can manipulate. You can get into that zone, and when you do, the atmosphere kind of changes of how people see you, right?
Yes.
That's kind of how we perceive this process with, because we do say animate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But animation for us is the end game for said emulation that we're trying to create. So you're trying to like basically recreate this thing, and it becomes animation once you own it, and you can go, okay, this is this style, or my ghost animation, or my smoke movement animation.
Now it's animation.
Yes,
Once
now
at
it's
that
animation at
point,
the end
but
of the road.
emulating is getting to that. You're okay. Well,
Yeah,
it's an interesting process. It really is. It's interesting, the process.
yeah, it's like
Okay.
claymation, Ray Harryhausen films, things like
Right.
that,
Right.
replicating all
Right.
that stuff. Because storyboard, if you're familiar with storyboard,
Mm-hmm.
like during our time when we were making when we had a group called Warriors, is the pre Eternals group. Like, but it's so funny because this group was a lot more war ready, like on the
Mm-hmm.
streets war ready, because we were all in New York,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we shared techniques, me and storyboard. Like we because we started out as rivals, and then we ended up being like best friends, damn near
Oh
partners, right?
wow. Okay.
So this is the interesting thing. He did claymation, right?
Okay.
I do frame rate stop motion. Charlie Chaplin, you know?
Okay. Interesting. Claymation and then frame rate. You're saying these are separate.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely,
Okay.
definitely. His is an external stop motion, meaning like it's on the surface, it's direct,
Okay.
right?
Like
I do an internal stop motion that's more rooted and embedded, if you get what I mean. So it's if you see the rocking that we do.
when I see you moving, like when you're going left to right, it's like it's your whole body is like
Right. We
okay.
hold, there's a texture we hold. It's a texture we hold. Basically, if I'm like this, the whole idea is how can this or something
Hmm.
exist while holding that, right?
As you're holding this is something else that's existing.
Yeah, but it has to kind of like fit in. It has to like mesh like an equilibrium.
Mm.
Got to find the frequency that works for said thing. So if I was doing my shoulder, then my arm, then my elbow, like I'm doing a regular wave, each rock I would do one of the processes. You get what I mean? To that, because we know points, right?
Okay.
So you rock,
Okay.
and then the shoulder rock, and then the elbow rock, and then the wrist. Now, when you fluidly put it all together and you increase the frequency, the speed, now it all flows together smoothly. And that would be like, if you're not familiar with Warriors content, we all had the stop motion effect. Okay, okay. I'm on the interview. Sorry. Basically, yeah. So with Warriors, it was like our group shtick that we were doing stop motion and no one else was doing any of that, like in Brooklyn, right?
Okay.
But it was it kind of has like a groove to it, right? So
Uh-huh.
we would bounce, right? And we had the stop motion in the bounce. Like I'm on the bench, so I don't have
Yeah,
much
yeah,
traction on my body.
yeah.
But it's like a bounce thing. We would bounce like this, like that, like hip hop bounce,
Uh-huh.
right? And then within the hip hop bounce, we would vibrate that at the same time. So it was like a vivid type
Yes.
thing, So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, so now I understand what you're saying about the internal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're saying about your frame rate. It
Mm-hmm.
was internal. Then you're saying storyboard was more out of the outside.
I got you. I got you. I could. The one thing I'll let you know, the reason why I think I'm not gonna say I think the reason why I guess I'm prominent in teaching mainly is because number one, I'm a nerd. Period. Nerd, goth,
You
geek,
gotta be. You
hood,
gotta be to
all
be.
meshed together, right?
Yes.
And the thing is that I deal with a lot of physics. I'm a school kid. I used to go to school. I'm big on physics.
Mm-hmm.
So with Brucker, we do a lot of chain reaction, domino effect, and pendulum swing.
Hmm.
Like yeah,
Interesting. Okay. The
yeah,
whole. Yep. Okay.
yeah,
That makes sense. Okay.
exactly. So with that being said, right, going back to story,
Uh-huh.
storyboard is, and this is how like two different approaches, similar effect, but not the same.
Hmm.
Storyboard tenses his muscles until they start to gyrate.
Also, he's like vibrating. He's
He's
like.
imagine if you contract,
Mm-hmm.
but don't let go,
Right.
and
And it's like a
and
continuing.
hold it until your neck starts to like do this.
Okay.
right?
Uh-huh.
Now
Uh-huh.
imagine fighting through that like low gravity,
You said fighting through that?
like
So,
moving, like trying to
oh,
hold
so
your style.
you're like
Yeah, you're
moving.
struggling. Like I can't really,
Yes.
like I said, I can't do much
Right,
because I'm on the bed. It's
right.
bouncy,
But
but
you're like
if I'm
trying
like
to
this
go.
and
Hmm.
I'm holding it, like you see my head start to like a little bit
Yes, yes,
gyrate,
yes.
right?
Okay, yeah.
Now I'm like this and trying to move.
Ah, okay.
Storyboard has that all over.
Got it. He's entirely just.
Yeah, his muscles are just like this, and he's like a
Yeah.
tense up, and he could just animate and fight through that. So if you notice him when he glides, the texture on it is like, why does it look like so like it's a lot of weight to
Mm,
it?
it's like heavy, very
Yeah,
heavy.
it's very heavy. It's very heavy. So like that's more like his claymation approach, but there's also different depths to it that I can't really completely go into
Right,
because
right.
obviously as a fellow master, he'll have his own science and
Right,
stuff
right. Of
beyond that. But
course.
on the exterior, that was enough for me to understand what's going on. I see what you're doing.
Right,
You know what
right,
I mean?
right.
Yeah. But we
Wow.
exchanged stuff and we kind of like came up with the concept of basically taking the mastery you already have, right, from said styles you've built and being able to apply it without the DNA it comes from. So
Mm.
this goes more into his mutation. Just an example for me, from how I look at it, it's like Storyboard can speak every language, but he can do it while still being himself. Meaning, like his animation never leaves. It can be tossed on top of ballet. He can go into these he can hang with the ballet cats and all that, but he'll still go crazy on them because it's like Brooklyn animation when he wants, and then employing the ability that comes from ballet, the fact that you don't lose a beat, the fact that you don't fall, and certain things like even with modern. So for me, Storyboard can go and be in a crump session and not be a crumper, but can reflect their stuff and then put his animation on top of it and kind of like still live and rock
Right.
out. So basically, he can go to any country and speak any language, but it'll just still have his presence on it, like his animation is still in it. You know what I mean?
Wow. Right.
So yeah, so for
Now,
him, freeform isn't necessarily tied to just Bruckup. It's all about just personal mastery. Something I could describe with you because of how you want whatever you want for wherever, and you're just
mhm.
you. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Just you and whatever context you're adapting somehow. But there's that. And you saying that's free form. That's a process,
That's a thought process
thought process,
for
I see.
him
For him.
with
Okay.
freeform. Because
Got it.
he'll say freeform, but it's not freeform Bruckup. Now, freeform Bruckup it actually is a science. There's like when I say there's actually a science, there's a separate science
Mm.
from that science, right?
Okay.
Because that's like a universal being experimental, being able to like just be your own artist and there's no labels completely.
Hmm.
And you're just taking mastery and control that you got from other things and paying homage, like, oh yeah, I fuck with the crunk dudes, I build with them, I do, in that
Right,
way.
right.
But with freeform Bruckup is modernized Bruckup
Mm. Modernized Bruckup. Okay, okay.
because it's basically doing it to what you want, using the control and
Mm.
mastery you built up through doing the style for so long, right?
Hmm.
And now you're applying it to R&B, to hip hop.
I see.
The bop is different. There's no more dancehall feel to it. The horse
Right.
stance is gone. The shoulder pop is no longer the primary contraction. The neckline takes
Mm.
over as that job,
Ah,
so the body can be free.
and
So you got
it's
free form. Your
modern.
body's free.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on, I just giving my dog some
Yeah,
water.
yeah, yeah. No worry, no
I,
worry. I heard something. I was like,
I,
oh, you got a
I have a
dog.
husky, so you can
Oh,
imagine they're
oh
after the dog.
man,
Yeah,
man.
they're wild.
Yo, I love it. I love it, man. Okay? You mentioned about mutation. Is that something connected to? That's just storyboard's approach more, or is there's a connection to um, the bruck up and framing,
Of course, this
or
could, well, not necessarily the fundamentals themselves, because the thing is that people have Bruckup, right? This is another thing. People can do Bruckup, but their science can be personally made, or it could be actually the commercial mapping that Bruckup has today.
Mhm,
And the way Bruckup is that it's a different story for everybody,
mhm,
right? How they do it. It's a very, very, very open field. The only thing that
mhm,
keeps us all together is certain stances, the fact that we pop to the beats a certain way,
mhm,
musicality, being on beat and being with the music and being more less about what you're doing, not really less about it, but equally being about what you want, as well as respecting the vibe and the music and hanging with the music. That's the only rule in Bruckup. So
mhm.
could you imagine how many people just have their own science form,
Right, right. It's very
Yeah.
free. It's a style that seems very open to you
Yes.
putting in your okay.
It's like a
Okay.
super improv style.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Someone mentioned the Passover. Yeah, so that's a favorite. I know. Passover is an effect that we do for wave-based bruck-up dances. When we don't directly hit the beat, we pass over the beats. That's what we say.
Interesting. Okay, okay. What about the now I know how do I say it? Like Ghost. Your name's Ghost. You do there's like a vampire feel, there's like the horror, the zombie feel to it. Where does that and I was watching videos of BSV and there's this energy of like this like hauntedness. What is that something where's that come from or what's the story with that?
Well, to make it really make sense, like think about it, right? Like I said, this style was more like popping for ghetto kids, but we didn't know the rules of popping or how to do the muscle contractions from their perspective, right? So also think about our influences and all the media we consumed. So Bruck Up consists of Kung Fu flicks, Looney Tunes, cartoons, comic book stuff, horror film stuff, and whatever else you can find. I mean, obviously dancehall as well, but those are like just tools to kind of like reprogram into some of these genres that we look up to or mess with. And then there's nature, there's life stuff. So water flow, river flows, wind blowing leaves.
Right.
For example, like Rain in the original BSV group, his whole concept is swamp, like lagoon, swamp stuff. So he's like a sludge type monster stuff. He likes that type of stuff. He likes looking at seaweed, how it moves, things like really, really like aquatic and weird kind of mystical type thing. So he hardly kind of does any real sharp frames like that. They're really subtle. The way he does things is different. And yeah, we talked about that. Don't worry, he knows about the frog neck stuff. But yeah, so saying that, right? Everybody's concept is different. So just to bounce off that, I emulate smoke, mist, and vapor.
Wow. Okay. That lightness. That like it's like it appears and it vanishes. It appears vanished,
Right.
very light.
Now aggressive, right? Aggressive wave stuff. I use wraiths.
Rate?
Wraiths.
What would
You know what a wraith is? Come on now, Lord of the Rings.
a rake or a rate?
Wraith.
Wraith. Ah, wait, damn. Why I haven't heard that?
A wraith is a vengeful spirit. Usually has no body.
Okay. WRAITH, I think. Rate.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, wow. So you're tapping into everything of spirits, of ghosts as much
Supernatural.
Yes.
Yeah. I have other influences. I have other influences beyond like those character driven stuff.
Yes.
But yeah. Vampire, you say vampire stuff.
Yeah.
I am big on the supernatural. That's mostly my theme, right? But the strength in the movement kind of reflects more of a kind of like, how can I say it? Like the body being in control, the body's alive and making the choices for the body. I mean, for the overall. Like, you know what I mean? So like BSB, like the original, we all just had a superiority over the Bruck Up style because we mastered improv before anyone else did. We only had certain strict rules that controlled the chaos that was the how can I say, sporadic and spontaneous choices of movements. So there was control on the tips of those things. So people wouldn't know that we're experimenting on you because we have so much control, but we're putting it behind unprecedented movements.
This is fascinating. The process, the mental process behind it.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I took the burden. They all had fun and lived it.
You were the one developing, right?
Mapped it.
Okay.
I just mapped it.
Real quick. I know the kind of we're gonna come back, but I saw a video recently. It was I wrote it down, but it was called Young Veterans Bruck Up 101.
Oh yeah.
And that was it was a school. It reminded me of like X-Men, like a special. Right. What can you? I don't know if you want to share a little bit about, but
that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. This is funny. It's a funny story too because the originals didn't want no more members.
Though, say it again.
The originals didn't want to, we were like, I wouldn't say we, but they were very protective. I could understand why.
I see.
They were very protective over the dancing style. And for me, I was like, no, we have to continue our generations. We're just gonna die with us or whatever. So I basically started the process of having a young veterans kind of like a sidebar, like people that are in the loading area to become a vet eventually, but they're gonna grow their years and be around us and soak everything up to find their own identities. And I kind of did that with, if you've ever heard of Pop Zombie, who's a member of BSV.
Yes, I've seen some videos.
Pop
Yes.
Zombie is a second generation BSV member. He's not first generation. And people like the first female, which was Betty Spaghetti, she is in that same class of people. You got Enforcer. Some of these people not really as active anymore, but some of the people that are outside of the age range that you just see with us and they're like super dope, they came out of a second generation that I was responsible for like helping bring up. And the one that you seen was like an attempt at a third generation.
Right now. Wait, no. That video.
That was the most recent generation I've tried to build. That was maybe like at least almost 10 now. Almost 10 years ago, 6-7 years ago maybe.
Got
it. Yeah. So but them, they all still active. They still all do their thing in their own right. But it's not this. It just, the process didn't work out the way it did for the first installment of that. Like those people went on to become directly BSV, whereas these people, they, you know, a good amount of them became their own independent artists in dance and whatnot.
Right. Okay. I see. Xavier once has a question about, can you tell the world a little bit about handball and what you
No. He's joking. Don't. Because you know how he is. Yes. No.
Being silly. Okay.
Not for this live, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
What another we'll go to another question I have is I know you mentioned about framing that it's one of the 5 fundamentals. What is that? What are the other fundamentals, if you want to share that?
Yeah. I mean, it would probably be healthy to do so.
Yeah, let people,
especially in this current temperature right now. The shoulder pop, which you would know normally, like us popping the shoulder. Framing is second, like the frames. We also, obviously, I explained pivoting, which is basically arch and shuffles and heel based stuff, which is kind of also dope. The sidebar on this, pivoting is a doorway to making personal glide styles.
Pivoting is to make personal glide styles.
Yes, your own footwork.
Okay.
Oh Lord, don't you dare say that shift and shit.
Oh my God. Is that like a joke within the community?
No, it's an innie. It's an innie.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to get into the politics, but it's an innie.
Okay.
Yeah. It's something going on with the other dance style out here, and they're just trying to coin some stuff.
I see. Okay. So you said the shoulder pop, the pivoting, framing, and what were the other 2?
Okay. The neck lock, which we discussed.
Lock.
Right.
Okay.
Which is the pulse, the weaponized pulse.
The weaponized pulse. Okay.
And because you know, I always tell you where the emulation came from, but this is what it became now. So it's like a weaponized pulse. And then the last would be just waving as a conduit, but we call it liquid because we want it to be like seamless and usable universally. But this is the thing. When I say this, I want to say this with love because we do pivoting. We have coined our own footwork, yes, but it's for us to make glide styles that are, specific for said person, right? But we still say when that person is making the style that they're making, it's still towards the book of gliding itself overall. The gliding style you make, you made a gliding style, but you remember you're still gliding. That's something that exists and it's already, it's a culture for it, and we're just adding to it by having our own way that we do it. So with that being said, you're probably gonna like this. Our gliding is not arch based.
It's not arch based.
It's heel based.
It's heel based. Interesting. Okay. Wow, that's different. That's different.
You think about it. How much traction can you get on the heels? A lot more than an arch, because you're using your own strength to pull against the floor versus literally you guiding yourself across the floor and using the heels as a traction ball.
Wow. That is so the layers to that. The secret to that.
Oh yeah.
that.
No, it's worse because I don't know if you see my teammate from the UK, like Jamal. Like he glides, he be flying, right?
Yes.
But after me showing him the Bruckup gliding approach technique, he could access things. So like he's literally way more in control of his gliding choices now
Mm,
versus
he's more
holding up an illusion.
interesting. Say that again. He's more. He's
He's
more. Uh-huh.
in control of the choices and directions and the things he does with his glide,
Uh-huh.
instead of being in an arch-based situation where he's holding an illusion and transitioning and and working off the elegance of his ballet background as well.
I see. I see. Interesting. He has more control of where he wants to go with it.
And what he does and what the choices are. So it's like it's too much traction. So you're gonna characterize the hell out of everything you're doing. You can have fun with it. It's very, very less pressuring. It does not have a lot of. If you notice, well, I don't know if you know, I don't use a lot of energy when I dance. I don't have to.
Hmm. Okay. Where would you say is it's coming from? If are you are or
The we're literally anti-popping in a way too, because we don't use strength.
anti-popping? It's
We don't use
crazy.
strength. Well, it's not in a bad way. When I say anti-popping,
No,
it's like the off.
no. It's
Yeah,
just
it's the off
it's
approach.
it's crazy because again, I know we're talking about how popping was like the father that was never around. Oh, the husky. We're talking about
Sure.
how
Yeah.
again how popping, like you're saying, broke up, saw popping, but wasn't really didn't had to figure out his own way. Everyone had to figure out their own way. And then are you saying it's the anti? It's just interesting. This
Yeah, when
contrast.
I reason why I use that term is because we don't want to contract to the point where bam, you
Right,
see it.
right,
No, no,
right,
we
right.
do things a lot more like from our guts, kind of like
Mm.
really like inside feel, like you know what I mean. And I sometimes because volume control is a thing, right? We control how much power and energy we use for different effects.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Wow. Okay. Okay. Huh. Yeah. Especially talking about storyboard a bit of how it's outside texture. And you're talking about the glides, and now you're saying how it's the internal of your inside when you're that that force within yourself that you're using versus look outside. Look at the outside appearance.
right, right, right.
Wow. What's the relationship to pausing in this? In pausing and framing, is there a relationship to that?
Well, it's actual really weird story, and I'm gonna say as much as I can without offending any parties.
Okay.
And okay, so someone within the Brooklyn dance community had worked on their own techniques, and this is just to sum up flexing, so I don't have to bring it up much
Mm-hmm.
throughout the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So flexing is a set of people that made their own techniques during the time where everybody was doing bruck up, and they went in their own direction,
They
right? And when they went
went
in
in
their
their
own,
own direction. Okay.
yes, they went in their own direction, and the the improv and freestyling and the naturalism of what bruck up was at the time, they got enough out of what they were doing to kind of make their techniques and kind of like veer off
Mm.
into their own direction and build a community, or even not just build a community, because I don't even know if they were planning to do that. But once they had their show, the Flex in Brooklyn
Mm.
show, like on BCAP,
Right, right.
they basically kind of approached Brucka. I mean, not Brucka. They kind of approached their dancing in a showcase format. So they kind of like tried to routine and choreography. I don't even know if there's a ism to that, but like choreography. There we go. Choreography the raw street dance in the way that they were doing and how they perceived everything, which kind of turned it into what flexing is right now. Different ideas, people taking different things from different avenues. I'm not gonna say complete cultures,
Right.
not for everybody, but sometimes it was whole styles that people were doing other styles, and they would come and do it differently, just trying to innovate something different and bring it to the stage. And with all those choices, eventually the identity of it started to not look anything like the pure
Broke up.
freestyling and natural
Oh,
dance, which was done in the street. So that was the separation for Brucka. The minute that we're gonna do hat tricks, or we're gonna start doing tuts and calling it this, and then or connecting. Let's just say we're gonna start connecting.
right.
We're gonna start doing all these ideas of delivery, because I personally could say that flexing is just delivery of moves and not much freestyle knowledge behind it. So only some people that have a background in dance kind of have like ability to dance from move to move, if you know what I mean.
Interesting. Okay, so if I hear you, there were some people that they 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 tried to choreograph specific aspects of Bruckup.
Hmm.
And then it turned into different stuff, like you're saying, hat tricks. Get low. I know that's a style. Pausing is a style. Bone breaking is its own. Okay, so and then
Yeah.
okay, got you.
Right.
Okay.
And the thing is, for us, the way I look at it is like a lot of things that got left behind. I'm not going to take away energy. A lot of other people do have that knowledge and still can portray it within what they're doing. But
Hmm.
some of the basic things that were left behind is what we increased, and we stuck with just staying away from any additives, adding anything from outside. We stayed with our just looking at life and turning that into dance, and we pretty much evolved the style for the style.
Interest. Okay, so if I hear you what you're saying, you stuck with the style and you evolved the style while flexing took from it and just focused on a piece of Bruckup, like
And made
pieces of
their own and found their own stuff along the way.
made their own stuff while you stood with it and expanded that on its own.
Right.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. Um, I feel like that definitely clears up more of this flexing and Bruckup, like of just that the unclarity there. I like to ask about how did Russia get involved with Bruckup? Because I see a lot of like in Russia videos of teaching Bruckup and they have the history done, they got classes and everything. Where did that happen? How did that connection?
Well, they were actually really big fans of our culture and our style and
Okay.
BSB itself. And we had a lot of other people, like people from said generations, like the ones that you see, that were mixing in it and mixing in and connecting with these people when they would see there was interest. So one of the young ones, you know, I believe it could have been somebody from that generation of the Young Vets video you seen, like
Okay.
Static, the kid, Electric Kid, the Electric Powers in that.
Yes.
He's really predominantly somebody that's really passionate about the style. So every time it's brought up anything, he's always on it and all of that. So I remember them getting a reference from him or others at the time to come to me directly to get information from me.
Mm.
And what happened was from then, this is so crazy. My student, my protege from Russia is named Smoke,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Now, Smoke is somebody who learned from watching me for almost 10 years.
So he was just watching. He wasn't taking
Just,
classes.
no, just watching me. I eventually started teaching classes on the net,
Okay.
right? But it wasn't that much because basically the kid sat there and watched all the classic go so
He
much
studied
that he kind of
it so
understood
much.
the narrative, right? He understood it. So that's the reason why it's like I don't mind it because I consider him a protege. So you know how there's people that are students and there's
I
proteges.
see.
He's purposely resembling old me or some aspects of me, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that they're really, 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 they have a go-to energy out there. I can tell you that. They're really serious. So
Mm.
he deals with teaching kids. They actually, as a fam, like their whole, because it literally they're the Russian BSV. They're not a faction. They're a version of BSV in Russia. They call themselves BSV Russia, pirates, whatnot,
Right.
right? But I went out there, and when I'm out there, they are living and running a dance studio like they're living out of it and running it like a family. I'm like, yo, this is different. You know what I mean? But they're really dope. They've really been consistent. They've been on the news. They've been all over the place. He even has a crazier following than me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
Right. Right.
just very proud of it. But they've been on it for a long time. And that's kind of like how it started. But since then, I've been to Moscow. I have a Russian visa.
Nice.
So, I try to do my part with that. But I finally got to teach him directly, and he's gotten a lot better. But he's really dope. He really took to the gliding in the old school me kind of though, I feel.
Yeah, because that was his reference, which was the older videos of you. That was his like,
Right.
wow, okay. Speaking of the older videos, well, actually, I want to because I was just seeing some videos were like 17 years ago, like 16 years ago. Like I don't know where, but like, what was I don't how was is there a memory that sticks out to you when you like 17 years ago when you and these videos of yourself that I don't know, like how was that energy? Is there something like a thought that comes up when you think of those days, like those moments?
Um, it was sporadic,
Sporadic. Okay.
spontaneous, and sporadic because like our style is so unpredictable because there's no script. There's no
Mm.
script. The only thing that's there is our mastery over the tools
Hmm.
and our connection to the music and our personalities after that, right?
Right, right.
So like I don't even know, this probably is older than 17 years. Probably. I feel so damn old. Um, but my boy Brandon, right? Which is somebody that I wish I had a lot more content of.
Mm.
Certain members of BSV, like their run was so early in the game that by the time we really started recording, there wasn't much outings or times with them.
Mm.
But my boy Brandon was like, I don't know what to call it, but he doesn't like when I call him that. I used to call him like B Rabbit, but I think that's because they called Eminem that. But
Okay.
his style resembled that, like a pinball, like he would ping ping all over the place, but it was more of a bouncy thing. So that's why I associated Rabbit with it.
Uh-huh.
And thing was, this dude used to do some of the most unprecedented, not planned shit I ever seen in my life.
What do you mean? Go. What do you
He's
mean?
in a
Like, I love to hear.
battle. He's in a battle, and he's like, you know, the Rupert move I told you about, right? He
Okay.
used to do like a real rope type, toss the wave through really quick,
Mm.
like real quick, right? He used to do that, and then Rupert do that, and Rupert. He's battling the guy, and he does that, and then he smacks the guy's hat off with the end of his hand, like when he does
Right,
when he
right,
unrolls on
right.
the opposite side. It smacks the guy's hat out. That the hat flips and lands on the girl's head, and everybody screams. That's the end of the battle. Like what the hell? Like there was time that this is not just like a one-time thing. Like
Uh-huh.
he's dancing and he's by the DJ booth, and once again he's doing that type of top waving type stuff, like a little bit of stepping and pops and come downs, because he had a lot of airwalk stuff, a lot of different stuff he did.
Mm.
He waves and he mixes the DJ booth, what is
Yeah,
it, the turntable.
yeah.
He waved and his fingers hit the turntable and
No.
yes, yes,
During a
yes, like
battle? It was
during a
just that.
battle,
So he
during
went
a battle.
and he manipulated the sounds of the room going on. Okay, so he's
Like shit,
okay.
like stuff like that. There's other things like stuff like that, and we used to get into a lot of craziness, like gang stuff, like people
Mm.
getting, we a party, and then we like I've had it's actually funny because it transcended into the, like, not too long ago, a couple of years back, something like that happened again. Yo, we used to get into so much trouble by being so better, by being so good, right? Like I danced at a one house party, and the floor caved in.
It came damn. Okay, it was
The
a
floor
party.
caved in after I killed a song, and it was Redman and Method Man. Doom, 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 that old 90s joint.
Okay.
I think it's Rockwaller. It's
Okay.
called Rockwaller.
Okay.
Yeah, that came out, and it had like this crazy doom 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 in the beginning, like the intro, and animating that. And then everybody's waiting, and I went low, and I just popped up and started hitting boom, 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 and all of that,
Yeah.
and everybody started going crazy. Ah, microphone checker, and then
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
song. And after that, like everybody was like just bugging off, and people, you know how you feel when you get stopped and people arm over the shoulder, yo, bro, grab you up, but everybody starts to sing like, oh, and then
Wow. That's crazy.
crazy shit, crazy
Wow.
stuff,
Those are like
crazy
those
stuff.
moments where it can't be replicated.
Oh,
It's
um,
it's like
that's what we're living in. We're
you,
living in that.
that's exactly where it's like you can't replicate the moments, these moments. That's
Right.
so interesting. Okay.
Right. That's why people tell me all the time. I kind of like I have a Thomas effect, especially with my performances. I love to perform more than anything.
Mm.
I do. I love to do performances. Like I'll make Thomas moments in battles. Like when I got a chair thrown at me because of how crazy I killed
I
somebody in one
remember
round.
that. I
You know
remember.
what I mean? Like
I
it's
love how you were. So I got to make a comment about because I remember when that video happened and people from different communities were seeing this, like other dance communities were watching that. I saw that, everybody was talking about it. But I love how even when he threw the chair, your foot just whoop, like it just
yeah,
like you
just
dodged it.
right under the foot, Matrix. Yeah, man. Like we had a lot of crazy moments like that. But the thing is that I ain't gonna front. We were a different breed when it comes to this dancing shit. With
Right.
with dance hall and broke up shit, we were a different breed because we were doing it, not caring about being fly, not caring about getting girls. We were just doing it because we loved it. So we would be dropping our knees in the street on concrete.
Damn
We was
right.
just, yeah, it was like we conditioned ourselves something crazy.
Right.
And these guys, all the other dancers out there, people get dressed up. Back then it was like you wear iceberg jeans and those all
Mm.
everybody fly and all that.
Hmm.
And you was getting murked by somebody who got a Rockaway shirt on. Like, you know what I'm saying? But we really loved it and cared about it that much. But yeah, we actually created a lot of enemies because of us being so infallible at
Of
the time.
course, right. Haters, people jealous, people like don't feel, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I actually am very proud of what I've done. Like we haven't gotten into the details of BSV itself, but when I describe that, you wouldn't believe half the stuff that's going on. Like with that group,
Right.
like things that don't happen to dance groups. Trust me.
Wow.
But
No,
I'll
that's
stop it there. I don't want to
yeah, yeah,
bust.
yeah. No, no. Wow. And then who was the original BSV members? Who were
Oh, that was well, shit. The original, the before BSB was First Class.
first class? Okay.
First Class was the pre, and that's when my cousin Popo was the young head in
Okay.
the group. You get what I'm saying? In a group.
Okay.
Whereas BSB was, it's actually a dope thing. BSB came together because it's Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights that came
Mm-hmm.
together
Mm-hmm.
as one situation because we had the best of Bed-Stuy and we had the best of Crown Heights, and that's what made up what BSB was. And then we didn't name ourselves BSB. We
Mm. Who
got
did it?
named that. We
Where'd
got
you get
named
the
that in the shoot. Well, we got named it by one of us,
mm.
right? But this one of us wasn't like the predominant dancer. He was like the residential party guy. Like, he's the one who throws all the joints come to the house. He has the BSB house, and
Right.
he's more of a like mascot. I said
Mas- like
mascot.
the mascot. Yeah, yeah,
Moscow's on
yeah.
my mind.
Right from
Mascot.
Russia. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's on my mind. He was the more the mascot, and he facilitated a lot of like the hijinks that we got into. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, but he could bruck up too. It's just that he wasn't like the one in the forefront in the front. Like, you know what I mean?
I see.
But Fat Boy.
Okay.
Basically, we were at a shoot, and I'm not even gonna go like back before, but just zooming forward to this shoot that we're at. We're at a shoot, and we're getting the opportunity to be signed with Block NYC. Right, at the time, all the way back then. And they was like, "Oh, so what do you guys name?" We all, yes, it was a movie moment. We was like, right? And that's what Fat Boy was like, "Yeah, Bed-Stuy," and then he's thinking, like, how long we've been doing whatever we've been doing. Oh yeah, we're veterans. We veterans of Bed-Stuy,
Wow.
Bed-Stuy veterans, and that's where it went from there.
I
Literally,
love,
and
I gotta say again, the spontaneous. Like, again, another moment where it's just like, again, that free, you can't replicate the moment. Like, stuff like, again, it seems to be connected in all the
right,
stories. Okay.
right. It don't matter
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
smoke, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
I'm about to
sure.
say, listen, I know how to deal with the world, so I operate properly. So I gotta
Yeah.
ask.
Nah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Oh, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
So go
okay.
ahead, ask away. I got information. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
so go ahead.
Okay. Here's a question. Man. Okay, let me see if anybody else got questions before I start asking stuff.
No, they've been just listening. Right now,
Right,
they
everyone's
listening.
just like, okay, oh wow, okay, cool. No, that's good, that's good. I know someone said, if you watch Ghost's old performance, he is what Les Twins emulated. That's a comment.
Oh wow.
You're yeah, that's like, I see. I wanted to say, speaking about again, back to the performance. Okay, so when I saw a video of you, one of the first videos was the Apollo Theater, and the move that that was so like whoa. Again, the whole thing is crazy, but you're doing like, do you call it the ghost walk when it's
The
like
ghost walk.
your
It's an
foot?
altered airwalk. It's a customized airwalk.
Got you. Okay, a customized.
I actually have an injury. I got my leg crushed when I was in daycare as a child. I had pins in my leg and everything. So I have a whole actual superhero origin
Tell
story behind the whole
us, we got to
blindness
hear the
process.
story. What's the superhero story? What?
I got my leg crushed by movers,
Oh no.
and while they were going through a daycare, I don't know what. And this is Brooklyn, so obviously these people are not
Right.
paying attention. What are you doing? So it
Right.
was like one of those. It was one of those spring, like the metal spring joints, like for the mattresses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those. They dropped that on my leg, and I was like a fucking toddler and shit, like small.
Damn.
Probably even younger. But yeah, I was in like the whole Forrest Gump thing, like for mad years. Like I had the whole leg brace thing.
Wow.
What happened is that my leg became it's actually very similar to that movie with the kid that basically broke his arm and then he started pitching in the major leagues and shit, and he could throw fast and it was like a superpower or whatever. But snappy hat.
Right.
It's kind of similar with my leg. I actually have like a hernia. Like I have a hernia bump, like a hernia
Right.
bubble from me walking on it
Wow.
all that time. But it doesn't bother me. It looks like an air bubble. People would say I got a Nike air bubble on my leg and shit. It's cheating. But yeah, like I ended up with stronger strength in my leg, and when I started to get into glide, I realized why when I use this specific side, I can hold my weight in time. I have like retarded hang time when I
Huh.
glide. So if I want to like look like I'm on a museum display like this
Right.
on my
Right.
toe, like okay, like the circle glide. These are glides
Right.
which you
Right.
probably
Right.
know I'm responsible for. That's one of the glides I make. So I made a lot of the basic Brooklyn glides that everyone does.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
So circle glide, basically, I know about momentum. So another thing about me is I use momentum with gliding. So I know how to hold hold a position so long, and then I'm just like soaring in that position. Like I could be off the ground. So I can hold a spin time and slow that time down and like do things with it. But that strength, like I said, my leg grew back with a lot more strength over the years of having that leg brace. And I guess I could count it as like a superpower, kind of.
That's wild. Yeah, that is wild. Huh. Like I would have never thought like you injured your leg as a child. And
Another thing is that Bruckup is big on injury.
what do you mean by that?
You have
Big on injury.
ailments. If you have ailments or some type of disfigurement of your body in any small way, it changes that it just creates this super version of a Bruckup dancer because you have your own accents. You have your own gesture, you have your own posture and your own pose, and something that a handicap that now is a weapon because it makes your style look faker. So just to give reference, George Adams had a bone disease. Right? And that's another reason why Bruckup has so much like of a real like kind of like original authentic type nuance to it, is because it's built from being handicapped or having a handicap. So you're basically dancing from a broken place.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
It's a lot. It's a lot. That's why I said I don't want to leave anything out.
Wow, dancing from a broken place. Do you find that a lot of dancers within, I don't want to say flexing as well, because I did an interview with what's it? I don't know why he's really known for finger connects. I don't know, the Machine. He was called the
Oh,
Machine.
Bones.
No, not Bones, but
Wait, no, you're talking about Twan.
Twan, yes, Twan. And I know he mentioned about how he had an accident where he couldn't move, and like then afterwards, the finger connects was something he pushed. But like, are there other examples of dancers that had some kind of yeah, if you would like to share?
Of course. Polba has like a I think it's something with his hip. It's a hip issue. Bookworm got fucking ran over by a bus.
Bookworm got ran over by a bus.
Right.
Okay.
His body is just like weird. Like if I'm gonna give you some references off camera and show you about Bookworm.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, wow. He looks like moving. He looks like if water was alive, like dark water, like some type of dark, evil, black water that's just like an abyss type thing.
Bookworm.
Yeah, that type of effect. Yeah, Bookworm.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I know the names, right? They just the names. It's like, oh, no, there's a character attached to that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Wow. Okay. Something I was wondering as well when you, I'm still not over that clip of that clip.
FP.
Yeah, the clip you sent me of the
fast pause.
Yes.
FP.
Yes, that I'm still not over that. And when I was watching that, like for me, I was excited watching that because just how it's only a short clip, like 50 seconds, and how the camera zooms in, the music starts, and how he just goes off. I was like, yo, I'm sure you being, were you were there when you were live?
I was on the side.
Like I'm sure. Okay, you were in there. I'm sure that was such a what a moment, what a history moment. The music, I heard about flexing was when Battlefest, right, started getting popular in the music, flex dance music. Then you had flex tunes and stuff. And then I realized how that song has been sampled so much by flex tunes, flex dance music. What is the timeline of the music? Like, from flex dance music is now, what's that timeline of where it came from?
It came obviously it came from the timeline let's just start there. The timeline is somewhere in the mid 2000s somewhere.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
The rhythms that we dance to is a genre within reggae. You have culture music, but then with what we dance to is raga, which is ragamuffin. Right. That's like the mix, like the joint you dancing to. That's within a certain kind of reggae, and the ragamuffin stuff is more like, like nothing different than the hip hop artists making tracks and going at each other. But the difference was, that was the beauty of the whole the raga, is that everybody were on the same rhythms. They will all see who could get the better song off the rhythm. So it was almost like this, like a universal competition, and then some people would actually diss each other on each other's tracks.
Wow. Okay.
So that music is really strong. It's really strong. So going forward, like these people make the mixes off of one rhythm mostly. So, and some who are more like creative, they use others. You know what I mean? But yeah, that timeline is like in the mid 2000s, because flexing itself, I believe they around like the mid, same thing, like late early and early mid 2000s is when they started to like coin the name flexing somewhat.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure they had it amongst their own lingo, but that's
Right.
when they like publicly started like really pushing it, I guess. And the reggae that we listen to even to this day, I think the rhythms kind of like slowed down after 2011 and 12. But they were like not as crazy as they used to be, and there was still some good stuff, but it just wasn't like you could just stick with the 90s stuff forever and not need anything else after that. So it was fun, but that's kind of like the timeline, for at least for me listening.
Okay. Now, what were you like? Okay, what were you listening to when and around to like the like what mid 2000s and such?
Um, this will bug you out, because this is probably me. This is probably Freeform being burst, and I didn't know it. Because I listen to a lot of us outside of the reggae. I listen to a lot of R&B, 90s R&B, and 90s hip hop. So, and even older sometimes. So I could say like Missy Elliott's, the SWVs, the Total, like Bad Boy Total. But then obviously with reggae, it was more like I have certain artists that I listen to a lot. Like within all of those artists, there's like, it's so funny. One of them is named Ghost. Obviously, like Vibes, not Vibes a little bit later, but like Beanie Man, Bounty Killer, stuff like that. But I also can name rhythms. Like I'm very prominent with like the Rich rhythm, the Ray Ray, the Sail Away rhythm, the Up Close and Personal rhythm. That's like everyone falls in love sometimes. If you ever heard the song, that's the name of the rhythm. You'll get all the other tracks, all the other songs. But some songs became famous commercially.
Okay.
Yeah. So you would probably hear one song, but there's like a whole rhythm with way harder songs or whatever on them. So yeah, a little bit of all that, like
Wow.
mostly.
Okay. Wow, the music, how it shaped and over time and shaping the style and
Even Missy Elliott. So I can't leave Missy out.
Okay. What is your vision for this dance? Like Bruck Up, and like where do you see it going? Where would you like to? Because I know Eternals is now the group, right? The most recent group that is pushing the style. Like what's your vision for the future?
Well, universal freedom.
Universal freedom. Oh,
Yes, I want people to be able to pick and choose and coin and make their own styles, instead of basically have to fall under a complete label. So, and it's not a bad thing to be a part of a style, because if that's what you want to do. But why not give the opportunity for more pioneers, for more innovation? Because the reason why we might lack a lot of genres is because a lot of people are scared to kind of like discover themselves. So I say this a lot, taking away the dance styles and the names and the terms. I teach people how to control themselves to music, pretty much, right? And the way I see things is this: if you can master your own body, you can master yourself, then you can create what your path is, or what your style is, or what you want to be, or what you call yourself. And for Bruckup is just pretty much a conduit towards teaching people self-branding, as well as pioneering their own stuff. So my overall plan is to repopulate the dance communities of the world, if I can, with Bruck Up as a staple, a consistent staple. But to look at flexing and go, okay, flexing is dope, but this shit needs this. But where's the prominent? Where's the? And this is honest, just me being honest, because that might not necessarily be my plan for it, but that works. Just to let you know, if you wanted to get into flexing, you'll have the most biggest advantage in the world if you already mastered yourself in Bruck Up.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? So now flexing looks like dancing all the time.
Interesting. It looks like flexing looks like dancing all the time.
No concepting to concept, no concept to concept. Bruck Up would act as the glue and musicality and extra things that is missing from said flexing that you might be doing.
Okay. Who would you say, if there is anyone that represents that really displays that understanding of the control Bruck Up, but also can tap into
Killer.
Okay.
He's my little brother.
Interesting. Okay. I've seen his videos. I've seen him.
Yeah, he's my little brother. Basically, no, my
He's
actual
your
blood brother. Like,
no.
yeah, it's my little brother.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I could show you Killer battling people when he was 11. Like, Killer's is cheating though, because he's not actually this generation. He's like 2 generations ahead of those.
Right.
I mean, before the generation his age is in.
Okay.
Because he was on the block parties like a little kid,
Wow.
but with actual knowledge, with actual control, and battling older people.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Like, he was on stage with Elephant Man around that time too. He's done gigs even at that time.
Yeah, so he has a lot of knowledge and experience already with
Because if you notice, he never looks like he's taking the flexing style too serious, and he can pull off shit that would be at a certain level. If you ever see his battles, he's just in it. He's like, it's not a thought for him.
It's a perfect. I mean, my perspective of him is that when I've seen videos of him battling others, is that no matter what style he's doing, it always does feel like he is dancing. It always looks comfortable. No matter, like, if he's bone breaking against someone, it's still comfortable. If he's like, it's all still comfortable. So it makes sense what you're saying about understanding the Bruck Up, and then you can take.
Now this will probably make you like, this will probably bug you out. Storm is like 85%. I mean, no, I would say 75% Bruck Up and not flexing.
Storm, who lives out here with the family and everything.
Yeah, Storm.
Okay.
If you're familiar.
Yeah.
Storm started in our camp. He was the calf. He was the calf in our camp in the early times. He came from us. So the thing is, he was in that community, and they just started already going, oh my God, he's a movement god. And we're like, dude, Storm is like the most lightest version. He's like the most lightest one out of our new heads. Like,
interesting. Okay.
So imagine they're like, oh, he's movement god. And it's like, no, you guys just need to learn your own body. Like, you'll realize that, and I'm saying that, like I said, it's not overall, but it's a very big issue where a lot of people lack dance control or dance foundation. You could do a Bruck Up. That's the reason why for the most part, you see the heel toe all day, and you see the 4 corners, and you don't see anything else for those types. Right. Because they don't know how to just freestyle and move and control themselves. Which is the precursor, what you're supposed to get before you take some other technique. You should want to learn how to animate. I don't know how to type, but I know I would go boom, 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 boom. It would be on beat if I was doing that.
You're still going to be able to dance and show it, and people could enjoy it, even though you don't have to know. Okay.
And you'll feel it yourself.
Right.
You want to feel what you're doing, not just, okay, I executed the move, it came out. No, you want to feel some weight to it. And I feel like, it's a choice though. People can do that without it, and people can't. But I it's been proven that the people that have foundation, they usually are the better or more favored flexors.
Right. Wow.
Like Sticks.
Sticks. Okay. He's another one. I remember seeing when I first saw him a couple of times. One was him battling Crow, from Turf, from Bay Area. But Sticks always, and I battled him too at one time at CJ's event. But Sticks always so controlled. It felt like such a like it was like this wavy, unreal
It's
thing.
rhythm. It's rhythm though. What if I told you that?
Okay.
Sticks was an ambient, more defensive, being able to like give you the mood, right? Type vibe, right? It was more like he's like something you watch and you just sit back and get a mood from him. He could take you somewhere.
Like hypnotized.
Right? When I got my hands on him, right? I showed him how to attack. showed him how to attack with the stuff he had already, and then gave him a layer by introducing him to how we perceive the fundamentals and our structures, right? And he was like the most, like leaving that, he was already a really good dancer, and I always give him that credit. I always tell him, bro, you was already nice, you know what I mean? But I could easily always describe it like, bro, you was just too ambient. You was too ambient. Like you was just in the atmosphere with it, with your movement. It wasn't like direct at somebody, right? So imagine he has all this soulful vibing and flowing and rhythmic groove, right? But I showed him how to weaponize that shit. You know what I mean? Like weaponize it and using grooves as attacks, ricochets and whatnot. You know, feel.
Ricochet. That's crazy. Just the word, because just that word already is an effect.
We
Ricochet.
think so. We think so direct when it comes to emotions. Like that's what that is. Like you know
Right.
what I mean? Like just the example too. I'll just give you on a side note. Like the locking, right? The neck lock, right? Right. I can create walls that aren't there. So I'll create a wall that isn't there, and I'll just change direction. I'll hit off that wall, and then I'll animate towards this direction, which will make the belief system work. And especially if I put one leg up and I shuffle into that wall, boom, and hit that,
Yes.
and then change direction and glide off. But don't change filter as I move. Once I start moving, keep that same motion up, because that's what keeps the belief system going for what people see.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
call that an invisible wall, but it's just basically how you take the technique you have, and you're basically, you know, you're intenting it towards something. You're bringing an intention towards something you're trying to make with the tool, and that's how, you know, just start making your own stuff. It's too much. It's actually too much expansion. Like Bruckup is like too much freedom, but it's too much freedom with
Right.
structure though.
Right.
There's
Right.
some walls that are there. Everything is like, okay,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like, but the only rule is, like I said, the only rule is to be on beat, connect with the music. The motions, no one can really judge you, right? Because what if I told you we went from turning the ugly into beautiful? So we embraced the ugly movements. We lived in the ugly movements. I can describe your freestyle as you basically letting your body fly versus trying to be completely super pretty. That's an element of Bruck Up that really, like, as far as like the real traditional first touch of Bruck Up in New York, we still kept that improv, throw things around, see what comes out type thing going on. But we would support it with the little bit of control we had at the time. So we would get like some memorable shit, you know what I mean? And then those things would get stolen or taken out by us and go, I'm keeping that. I'm going to build upon it. So before you know it, you get rid of everything that's ugly that you don't like, and you keep all the things that's beautiful.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow. it's
there's a
like
lot. Like
it's
the
like
meditation, the
like
training.
when you said about you know, the ugly and then keeping the beauty. It reminds me of like I don't know where I'm getting this visual from, but like if you were to put your hand into a swamp and you were to pull out like a sword, and it's like,
Mm,
whoa, like it just like this refined piece of weapon that's it's clean now, but it came from the dirt, it
yes.
came from the raw, the grime, the
It was molded from something.
yes,
It was crystallized somehow.
yes, yes,
Something happened, you know.
yes.
You know, there's a thing, you know, coal doesn't always come from diamonds unless you know how to
Mm,
prep that, you know, how to process that,
mm.
right? So it's the same thing with dancing. If you don't take enough time to love your own movement, then how can you know whether you really love it or not, or learn to?
Right.
You gotta go through the process. You know what I'm saying? I compare Bruck Up to literally like martial arts, kung fu. It's literally like kung fu because we do a lot of repetition and believing in something until it takes shape. You
Mm.
know what I mean? And then within that, a lot of times, this is something that'll fuck you up as well. When someone has no previous background, they usually end up with the most dopest Bruck Up style because they're untainted by knowledge. They're untainted by an idea of something.
They're free. They're already free. They're already free, so now you can add on to it.
Yeah,
Right.
and whatever is awkward becomes the thing that makes them right.
Right.
The
Right.
thing that
It's
makes them special.
right. No, I totally agree with that. And I've seen like friends I know that they're not a dance, they wouldn't call themselves a dancer, but because they have no memory of what is right, or so when they play around, I'm like, bro, if you practiced, you would be crazy because you're so free. You already don't have that. Right.
Hmm.
Right.
It's mastery. I think I said this in the inbox. It's mastery over improv. That's really what Breakup is. With soul connection to reggae music that powers like the vibe. Like We have waistline control from winding, winding in the 90s days. So we're fully equipped. Like we use hips, we tuck, we sit in motions, we do a lot of things,
Yes.
you know what I mean? But the most part that's dope is that you can take two fundamentals from Bruckup and have a whole style. You can take one thing
Have a
from
whole
Bruckup and
thing.
make a whole style.
Right.
Is that crazy? Is that
Right.
crazy? But there's
Wow.
definitely a different like just because I know I said the pop, the frame, the pivot, the liquid, and I said neck blocking, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Shoulder pop probably I didn't say,
Mhm.
right? So the next floor is forms, patterns, textures.
Oh, I didn't know there was another floor.
Of course, there's floors. There's floors. It's just the fact that someone could exist on the first floor for a long time, and they wouldn't have to worry about these other things if they were really prominent in what they already do.
Okay, question. Textures, man. Would you say textures would be how you do that movement of like the effect that comes from it? Would that be
I think that did I say this? Did I talk about the Cobra with you?
the
No, right?
cobra? I
Hmm.
don't think so.
The Cobra wave from popping, right? You know that wave,
The
right?
the cobra wave. Is when
Yeah,
the
yeah.
360. Right, right.
You know the texture that's on that?
I wouldn't know. I know that it's supposed to be imitating apparently a cobra, but what is the texture? No, I don't know.
There's a gravitational hold, and it's the same type of shit that you would see, like you see that tightening, and I'm like, you see how I'm trying to give you the feel, but I definitely don't got much traction
Right,
here,
no, no, no.
right?
Mm.
You see how you see that little latent time shift of the movement where it's being held for a second and then I'm shifting it.
Mm-hmm.
Notice the first three. I'll do three blatantly. So
Mm-hmm. One. It's like it's like a womb. Like
right, it's
it's
something's
heavy.
trying to hold it back from its
Right.
destination, right?
Right.
I can't replicate it how poppers have that effect, right? But what if I told you that with all the problem, with all the work that we've done, we can sample effects from things without doing the actual move.
Right. Because you're taking the effect of it,
We
and then
don't we don't
you're okay.
have to do the process to get the sauce on it.
Right. Right.
So we
Right.
got the Cobra and we just doing the Cobra effect on random stuff, which would be what resembles my frame rate stop motion.
Mm.
But I do it differently with different strengths and different volumes to change it. But the one that you're seeing us doing mostly, or that you'll see in the Warrior stuff, is mostly us emulating the Cobra motion, like the Cobra texture,
Okay.
and we're putting it on motion, basically like a first layer of stop motion for anyone trying to learn stop motion. That's how we would show them how to do it,
Mm.
by replicating that.
The
Or not,
cobra.
they don't have to look at that though. We have a structure to teach them away from it, but then we let them look at it and go, oh, I can see it. I can see the hold. There's like a hold on the wave when they're doing it, like a tighten up that they do, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about, that
Mm.
right there. So we know how to sample things. Like example would be like the ghost walk. When you see me do the ghost walk, guys, like this seamless travel
Yeah.
thing, where it's like I'm just going. I took him that off, and I put that into a lot of heel glides that are based off using weight transferring, where I'm pulling one foot to the other, where it looks like 2 feet are gliding at once, where in reality one is doing a shuffle, and I'm dragging the. Well, I'm not going to get too deep because you don't want to do it in
I
science,
would be
but
like,
that travel is literally me emulating how the ghost walk moves, but being able to do it in glide. So it's less stress on the feet or whatever. Because ghost walk is like me walking like this,
yeah.
and while this is happening, my other foot is having all that time to step forward, and when it lands on the heel, I switch them really quickly or seamlessly, so you don't really notice. But I'm
Mm.
walking all the way to the tip of my point like this. This is where the injury shit comes in. The stuff I'm able to do. That's the reason why my foot can go over almost on this plank. But by that
Wow.
time, my foot is already landing and then transitioning for the next foot to go up.
Yeah, take a moment.
What helps is that I can talk dance. I can speak dance. Most people can't teach speaking it. They have
Yes.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. You definitely have the scientific understanding of breaking it down and references, and then you can demonstrate it. Like I know there's some people that they know a lot, but they can't demonstrate it. And there's some people that can demonstrate, but they can't explain. So I love it. It's the combination, you know. Wow. Okay, question. Because
Go.
I'll give like two more
Just
questions.
go on
Let's get to
freestyle. Go ahead.
it. Okay. This is gold for anyone watching. Gold material, gold stuff. But my question is, you talked about Floors. What are there? How many floors? Are there many floors? You said okay.
There's many floors.
Wow.
Because when we're dealing with traditional, like coming into the style, you're mostly gonna work with the basics and the the rhythm and the reggae music and just understand how to embrace and kind of like get well, like because the music is doing it for you. The
Mm.
voices and the attitude in the voices are gonna help the style when you're doing it, right?
Right, right.
But the thing is, you exist more on the first floor with that whole process of just fucking with record.
Mm.
You get to the second floor, that's when you're starting to like dabble in like NYC style character. Like you're putting your own personality into the bruck up. That's
Mm.
when it becomes like the New York City bruck up style, which is like they wouldn't have did that in Jamaica. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
that type of shit where oh wow, that shit looks scary. Like niggas probably would have shot you or something if
Right,
you look
right,
scary
right.
like that. Who knows? But yeah, so that's when it starts to get like really heavy, but you start to put your own ideas on it. That's like when you started acting dead and doing all these older
Right.
things and like just creating my own approach to it and
Mm.
still following the laws of it, right? But the rhythm is way more sharper. It's way more. It's just like that refined version of it. You know what I'm saying? Whereas before it's improv and fun with a little bit of control to support, right?
Mm.
Now it's control and personal choices and trying to be like on beat and basically have this image that's like we're not battling, but we're battling, all
Mm.
of us. It's like yo, same thing as the people on the reggae tracks. Who wants to have the better moment? Who wants to
Mm.
have a more memorable moment? But we love each other. Yeah, it's fine. But we all go hard because we want to make sure that this whole shit is a session you can watch through from beginning to end. If it was actually sold as a DVD or
Yeah,
something, you just
yeah,
watch
yeah.
it all go. You want all perfection. You don't want to go, oh yeah, son is okay. You don't want that,
Right,
right?
right.
So we used to really, really, really be chasing. Wait, because I can't say this. I can't finish saying this without saying this. The way that we train is that we meditate and see us a version of us in our head that's nicer than the version that we are right now, and we try to get up and be that person
Hold
or
on,
be
hold
better.
on. You train? Is this is something you do, or is this is something
Meditation.
you?
It's something that BSV had did, but now we incorporated when teaching new people, and that's why a lot of people they get nice. Like I have a lot of people I can show you, you'd be like, what the fuck? And I'll tell you, oh well, this person was 2 months, this person was 3 months. I have people who got nice in 2 weeks.
So, tell me about the meditation. What do you mean?
You're
What you said that people are what? What are you guys doing?
you're listening to the music, right?
Okay.
Listen to the tracks you're gonna want to
Okay.
dance to. But you sit there and you envision yourself in your head being better than you know you are, or seeing a higher version of yourself, a better, perfect you in that moment. And
Mm.
then you keep getting that reference, and it's almost like in having that perfect dream where everything just
Right.
works, right? So you create this you in your head that's just super duper nice than what you expect of yourself, and you see that person, and every time you get up after, you're trying to match that energy, or you're trying to be better than that energy. And then the nicer you get, the person just gets nicer every time than the level you had. So it's like a consistent chase
So
forever.
it's
Right? You just
always
like
like this. It's like you
yes,
can never.
yes.
This is you. This is the dream, the visual, and then it's like okay, next one. Okay, next one. Okay.
Right. So you just keep going, and you're just at a certain point. Like for me, people tell me, because I say this to people and I tell them like, yo, I have certain times where I either, I was probably partying too much, or I probably didn't feel comfortable, or I didn't like the atmosphere. And I go, you didn't know I was on autopilot that whole time. Like, and they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, this would be like some clip that it only go up if the company it goes up, and everybody else will like it, but I'll hate it.
Mm. Everybody will
Because
like it, but I would hate it. Okay.
right, because I've worked so hard in my dancing that people can't tell when I'm having a bad day,
Mm. I
and
see.
that's kind of awkward because I have a certain reflection of how I want to be seen.
Right.
So I hate when I'm on autopilot. I hate it.
I,
It's like I'm just, how when you were younger, when you were dancing, you'd be like, damn, I'm in the middle of a moment. I'm freestyling now. Damn, I can't wait till this is over. I hope I did good type shit, like in your
right.
head.
Right. Or you're throwing yourself around. You're doing too much. All that or that's another
Or
thing.
not even
But
too much. You're not wielding yourself properly.
okay, yeah. So you're not. You just don't feel good about it. You don't feel good. You don't feel.
Yes, yes. But then when you look back at it, you'll go, I can see why other people like it because y'all motherfuckers don't really dance dance. So you seeing this, you're just seeing me being broken and going to the ground and doing wild shit and doing whatever. And it's on me, but it's just it wouldn't be my choice. That would if I had more mental
I see.
focus at that time or comfortability, I'd have gave you more some like real animated, like meticulous shit. But
Right.
but anyway, mental health is the thing, but not saying mental health in the form of like, you know, kind of like your ability to operate, not that. More so like emotional. Like I have a lot of, like I am literally preyed upon because of my ability. So I'm targeted because I don't, like, you might hear more about me than me tell you, because people have a narrative for themselves already with that. So instead of actually confront and trying to like test, it's better off to just try to like paint a picture.
Right.
So I've gotten that problem, and it's also because I've been like the, not the last, because they still exist, they still do them, and a lot of them are still operable and on the field when they feel like it. But I'm like the last remnant outside constantly representation of what energy was from BSV, right? So and I'm holding the baton for the whole style.
Right.
So I get all the spears. I just got the fucking, I just have a healing factor. They don't know that, and I just get all the, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah. So I've been taking all the lashes over the years. So it's a real crazy thing. You know, this breakup shit is like a hidden ancient art that people just really want to make seem like it's overly.
Say that last part.
It's a big
Say
thing,
that.
bro. I'm not gonna get to the politics in this conversation. You know, I'm not gonna
Right.
bring that to this conversation. But it's a thing. Breakup is a thriving style that's trying to basically liberate people. They're trying to liberate people into being their own masters, their own pioneers. There needs to be more people that are like remembered for some shit they created.
Right. Wow.
How can we get there?
Right.
I look at that stuff and spin the hat and all this stuff. I looked at it as like weapons you can come and pick up that are tangible weapons that you fight people with, right? Versus me going into the forest and fucking, you know, praying to a waterfall, and then I get some type of power, that's some ancient shit that no one has. Now you gotta fight somebody who knows magic. Have fun with swords and shields, guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, go venture out. These tools, it's a blessing because someone already showed you their pilgrimage and they brought you something to the table and go, look, we got this, you can fuck with this. But that doesn't mean stick to this and just work with this. Go figure your magic out and come back and go, yeah, my touch about to be crazy. I'm about to flip this. I like the angle concept. Because if I read it from the outside, tutting is angles. It's angles and points.
Right.
And images that you make with those, right?
Right.
But that was never our shtick in New York. Right? So if that's what you're gonna do, I put that on the table, but give the kids the opportunity. Well, not really. I'm not gonna put it on them. Everybody needs to know that the real thing is to take the opportunity to master yourself, so you can perform those said things and change them from the beginning, so you can stand out and have your own presence.
The self-mastery part. Right. Wow.
There's not many heroes, man.
Say that again?
There's not many superheroes. There's not many heroes out here. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I think it's even just that thought process that not many people have, that thought process, that way of looking at the world or a dance, you know, we're talking about dance. But wow. Okay. I like to ask you about musicality. I know you mentioned how you said Bruckup, you said has like the best musicality. That was like what you said. Can you go into detail on that? Or yes, if you could go into musicality.
Of course. The thing is that when you're learning everything on beat. You're trained, obviously other styles, of course. They'll probably teach you how to, you know, to bang hit, you know, Fresnos and whatnot, right? And I'm very, very well versed in caring about the structure, about the cultures. It helps me not step on toes, you know? So with the Fresno being kind of like equally comparable to the Four Corners in our style, like you're taught to you know, to we say placement or tracking, to track the music, they track the beat. But the thing is that you're taught that the same way on every fundamental.
Okay, every fundamental you're taught to track the beat, the same beat you're saying?
The same way, yes.
Okay.
At the same pace and the same speeds. So that means you should be able to walk on beat, frame on beat, lock to the beat, pop on beat, wave and time your wave to do transitional motions over beats, which we talked about earlier, which is the Passover effect that we do. So it's like a linger where just the transitions that's happening while you're doing it actually happen right when that beat happens instead of directly hitting it. So it's a different effect. It's, you know me, here I come, analogy king.
Yes.
Okay, so it is a sheet on the clothing line, and you're behind it, poking behind it with a broom.
Hold on. A sheet on a clothing line, and you're poking behind it with a broom. So that means the sheet is going like this.
The sheet is predominantly the predominant motion happening in the front.
Okay.
And the hits and the locks are underneath now. They're not on the forefront. Whereas normally how you would just be moving and locking and hitting.
Right.
You know, your wave mostly, and this is happening.
Oh, wait. Okay, the motion is happening, but on top of it, you're doing the locks.
No,
You're doing underneath. So the motion is the main thing, but then there's these
happening and not stopping the motion itself.
Okay.
So you're hitting while moving.
Versus just going boom, boom, but having to show like you're okay.
So if you lay that, right? All right. And then bang, you're gonna have to stop, right? I'm hitting the whole time.
So you're still moving. You're still being able to. Yes. Then.
I did a little bit of stop so you can see where I stopped at, but
this is interesting because then I feel, would you say the groove is there? It's the groove stays and you're able to animate with the groove.
I'm scared to say this. I think that we're one of the only styles that can animate fast.
Animate fast? What do you mean by that?
It sounds really weird, right?
Fast.
When have you heard that term before?
Animating fast. The only reference I have to someone animating fast would be Bopping Andre, where he does a fast forward. Where he'll do a thing where he's looking like he's like fast forward. That's the only reference I would have. But he's the only one and that does that. Like that's a personal thing to him. Right. Now you're saying, can you explain what do you mean animating fast?
Meaning like the things that we do, they come from somewhere in our mind already. We've already grabbed hold of that picture. Now these are unknown animations that you won't know what it is that's happening, but we have a vision in our head of what we're doing and what's going on. So we're literally moving at a pace, if you notice, because you probably can say this, our whole freestyle is animation the whole time because of the work that's been done and the fact that it's fast paced like that and continuous, right? The tools behind that and the work itself has made the overall look just be animated. So I can look fake at any time that I want. There's no like, oh, I got to get into something. No, I can just turn on fake.
Yes.
Like, so with that ability, think about, okay, the fact that we're moving and we're literally controlling things in real time transitions into to filter changes. You know, when I say filter changes, like going from cutting out to slow down to, you know, if I go 1, 2, 3, or boom, 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 boom to.
Right.
This is what I'm trying to say. That's, or palm, you know.
So you're saying you're switching between all of this fast. Your ability to switch. Okay. Interesting. You're the perspective you're saying of fast animation. Yes, to switch. I think the closest thing would be in the popping world would be the Sinbad, where people are doing like the stop motion characters.
It's like staccato, right?
Yes, it's very like staccato, and they'll stop. Maybe they'll move their head. They'll stop. Maybe they'll move their. But this whole motion
while we're just moving and hitting the beat. So basically, there's no like, oh, I'm about to animate. You get what I'm saying? Like, no, we're just on.
And you know what? For people watching, because I know this what I'm about to say is gonna like. I feel if anybody watches this, is great just to reflect on. But I've always had this question of like, or maybe I've had the difficulty of, like you said, Not like, oh, I'm animating now and now I'm not, and now I'm dancing, or I'm dancing. Like you can always keep the dance,
It's all
and you're
one.
it's always one, and your entire body. It's not just da 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 da. It's your this whole movement,
Living concept.
a living what?
Living concept instead
Living
of
concept.
sequences.
Right, the groove, the keep the groove to be able to sway and to still boom, 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 bounce and okay.
Yeah, so basically, I say that. That's why I say maybe we're one of the only. I say that because our style is like that. It's not like, oh, our ability. No, no. The style has been built to be like the whole time you look animated, the whole time you're doing sequences and changing. When I say changing filter, I mentioned it to, for a second, but I mean like the fact that you can go from seamless to
Right. Well, yeah, you went da da da, and then you went boom, boom, boom.
that is what I'm trying to say, but just easily changing. It's not like there's no bracing.
Right. There's no okay. Now the next thing. Okay, here's the next.
It's
It's your
all in. It's all in.
okay, okay.
It's like being left in the desert with nothing but your ability to know that, okay, these things work to the beat. So
Right.
I'm going to just make up a whole bunch of patterns and combinations between all of these approaches and
Uh
effects.
huh.
And
And then there it is.
yeah,
There it is.
musicality is literally the pusher. But you got to think about it. Just like you dance to that track, didn't that make something come out of you?
Oh,
There's a certain
totally.
energy in that.
There was something which yeah, which I've never posted something like that, like me moving like that. That was something different.
You weren't thinking either.
I was like, well, I just know what Xavier shared and
No, no, no,
talk,
no, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm talking about wild.
huh?
I'm talking about wild
Why?
dancing. I said wild dancing.
Wild dancing. Oh,
When
I
no,
wasn't thinking.
while you were dancing, you didn't have to think.
No,
Right.
no.
The style is like that. But your control allowed you to tap into what that was, because I don't know how much you built with Xavier about it. You know what I'm saying? But it looked like you've had that wasn't the first. It couldn't have been the only time that you've been absorbing a little bit, what he's, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
My,
me seeing that, I'm like, yo, Duke, he looks like he's already been with us for a couple of months or some shit, like with the original team. Like you was around in the little rooms,
mm,
and because like I got some, receipts here. If you seen the amount of people that I'm responsible for, it would be like, what the fuck? Um, but anyway, you look like you was in that room already. You already been in those rooms. You already been in the slaughterhouse
mm,
training and being around us, because you gravitated to the process and understanding of it so well. But if you felt that when you were going, like, oh, I know the gift, I know what this is, I know what this feels like, and look at the drive that the music's giving me, you were just going off and you didn't have to think.
mm,
That's kind of how it is in this style. We don't have to think when we're dancing. Only if we're like a certain, like, that's why freeform is so fun, because you can actually embrace and be like, all right, I'm swag and I'm a layer and do what I want how I want. But when the breakup is on, it's all about attack, attack.
right.
You can attack pretty. Don't get it twisted. There's some thinking there, but you got to be able to think fast.
Think fast. Hmm. Wow. Okay. Cool. How would you, what would you tell, like, if someone wanted to work on their musicality, what would you tell them, or what advice, or what would you,
Well, for advice, I would say know what musicality is, but you know, still be kind of explorative with how you want to approach it.
mm,
You know what I mean? Because obviously we found something that really works and people just fuck with that. And I want to change that narrative,
mm,
because it doesn't matter whether this works. That doesn't mean you don't write your own equation of it.
mm,
You know what I mean? Because what we like is for people to change the fundamentals while they're learning them. So alter them, not necessarily when you get it all and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this
right,
sequence of how I put it
right,
together.
right.
No, just your pop. If you got to drag your body down every time you shoulder pop, like boom,
Ay,
boom,
ay, ay.
make it yours. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like blow your arm away or something, or you know what I mean. That we didn't even talk about hand gestures,
Mm,
because the wrist and the hand, it creates intention for each pop. Each pop.
mm,
So if I noticed, I'll try to like actually get some type of position where I can do
mm-hmm,
something here.
mm-hmm,
But um, I noticed you're popping, right?
mm,
Popping the arm. Now, if you notice something, right? I could just go like this. And the other thing is too, you're not gonna lift. If I don't know if you have to lift, but right. So go from dropping the shoulder like this to Well, I'll just show you the difference. So you go from dropping the shoulder, and then it becomes this.
Right. It's just a very small,
Yeah,
like.
you don't even have to lift no more. And that's like more like, you know, when your pop is conditioned now to your body. It's like, okay, I ain't got to lift like that. I can just still get the
Mm.
effect, right? But if you notice, right, I'm going to aim these next pops. They're going to look different from me going like this.
Okay.
All right?
It's like the direction seems to
Yeah.
be different.
I'm giving the pops intent by pointing and aiming them and giving
Ah.
them slots to land in.
Okay. The intention with the hands. This is
Yes,
what's
it's like a
guiding.
guide. And also, you can do different gestures. You could do different hand gestures. Like we have the crab claws. We have different things. Like, you know, like the me, I fuck with the whole Morrigan. If you ever played Darkstalkers, like her fingers are like this all the time. Marvel's Capcom, the vampire chick. If you ever played the,
What
it's
game was it?
not
What was it called?
her original game is Darkstalkers, but she's in Marvel versus Capcom. That's the girl with the
Okay,
bats.
I've
If you ever
seen
played
her.
Marvel versus
I have
Capcom.
seen her. Yeah.
Morrigan,
Okay.
Morrigan. So she's always like this, twiddling her fingers or whatever. But I also, this is another fun discipline trick. Because when I was dancing back in the days, I used to just step out and do these airwalks, right? And then trace them on my head and like look at them. Basically, I used to look at my feet,
Look at your.
everything I did.
Mm.
So if I'm airwalking, stepping outward and the airwalking back, I'm looking at that foot and then I'm drawing back with it, like, right?
It's like connected. Okay.
Then I chose to put the pop there instead.
Boom.
So pop, step, pull back. So my indicators was when I step, I'm gonna pop. When I pull it back and land, pop again. So that's how I taught myself how to pop on key. Crazy. So I actually could tell you the sequences that taught each fundamental real quick. The arch, I used to arch and then push the heel down, and then I would shift my body to the right. Now I lift the other one and then push myself and then shift the heel down. So I'm taking my weight and pushing my weight left to right, which with the arch, lifting, you know what I mean? Like if I go here, but when I'm lifting my foot, I'm going right.
Yeah.
Other
Okay. Yep.
side, other side lift, push me back.
Right.
So that's what I was doing with my feet, back and forth, to teach myself the frame lines to be able to zip.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
And yeah, like I said, with the popping, I stepped. Step, airwalk, pop there. So boom, boom. That's the reason why you see people step and airwalk it. That's literally my practice style. That's how I got nice and became like a staple. Like a lot of shit I do have became a staple and they think that's Bruckup. No, that's just my freestyling. Like even when you see BSV spin our leg, like we do that toy leg move, that's not a part of Bruckup.
No.
We're it's a part of Bruckup because we introduced it. So we have pioneered things that people just think is normal with Bruckup, but no, we're responsible.
Wow.
It's two things. It's called the kickstand, and the original name is called the toy leg because it's based on when the fucking G.I. Joe man leg used to swing when it breaks when you was a kid. And you get we have a whole bunch of concepts that are so like really ghetto hood bound stuff. But I was gonna do this, my bad. So I used to do that all the time. I used to wave my fingers. I used to do like this while I was doing that, not knowing that I was doing repetition for like half my life with this hand. So now I can synchronize swimmers with my fingers. So, right? Right?
Nice.
But when I wave, if you notice, this wave has a retarded curl. Like you see that start curl?
Right.
It really folds, like, right? And then, you know, like I said with this, and then even like across, right?
Yes.
I just have a real crazy discipline with this because of me doing that repetition that I did not pay attention to. So that's what we call accent emulation. So it's like stuff your body just naturally does. You don't even know it's creating an effect for you in the future. So this is like a commitment thing. You know what I mean? Like you have your own gestures that came from, I didn't even realize that I was making that good. Now this hand waves like a fish. Like serious.
That's why the accent emulations, accenting natural parts, natural things you're doing, not knowing that you're already can push it to another.
That's me like showing you like if you have a natural reaction of something you do when you dance that comes out.
Yeah.
You notice, why do I always swing my arm back and my wrist like flaps like that? Maybe I need to keep that. Maybe that's something.
Yeah.
That's how very intricate this Bruckup shit is. Like your natural recoil or something you do by mistake can be something powerful if you own it and not be like, okay, I see you. I'm gonna let you stay. I'm not gonna
Right.
work
Wow.
hard to remove you.
Which
You know what I mean?
really makes it personal. It really makes like the creativity is you're really it's personal. It's such a no one can tell you like you had to observe yourself to know that.
Not to mention, you'll love it. How do I keep people
Yeah.
original
Yeah.
without them going and fucking it up by adding too much shit, or you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean, or trying to be around too much of whatever's going on, or not learning how to balance their different genres, right?
Right.
So we teach people how to control and weaponize. I know you like that word when I use that word.
Weaponized.
We teach people how to weaponize their vibe.
Hmm. Okay. This
Your first
Jones,
your first layer
we need
is
you out here in LA, man. We need a class out here. But anyway, okay.
honestly, it's so crazy. That was my original plan. I was gonna move to LA at
Uh,
first, but then life,
of
family
course, of
stuff.
course,
So
of course.
um,
Okay, weaponize the
right.
vibe. What is this? How do you weaponize your vibe
This is
or your
before the tools.
the tools?
This is
This is
before the
before
tools.
the tools. Okay.
So you got your bop, right? Like if we play reggae, right, or
Hmm.
whatever song, right? Let's say if your bop is like this, right?
Hmm.
How do you weaponize it? Put points in it.
Say it again.
Put points in it.
Put points in it. Okay. What do you mean points? Like
Placement points.
oh placement points.
Yeah, I
Okay.
figured you would know what it was, but I just
Okay.
had to add that. So
Okay.
like this, right?
Right.
Okay, that's my vibe. All right. If I put points in it, what it would look like. All right.
Whoa. Okay. You've broken it into okay frames points these okay and then
When I
you're
say points, of course they're like you're gonna get the framing ability by if you approach it by holding without impact, yeah, you'll get the framing. But when I say points is just basically giving yourself a 2 to 1 second cue in between when you stop. That's what I mean by point, 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 point.
okay
And we say it
point A
just
to
for
point
this.
okay
Yeah, we say it just for the rhythm build. So it's like, yo, you're doing this. How do you cut that part? Okay, next, and then cut right there, and then next, and then cut like that type of thing.
you're editing
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not gonna lie. I used to say that this is the edit, cut, delete style. We sit there, edit, cut, and delete what we don't want, and then keep all the shit we like until everything you do you like.
edit cut delete style
For real, that's like another that like when I explain people teaching wise, I say this is kind of like an edit, cut, delete type thing with yourself over years, where you're just literally, ganging up all the shit that you amazingly surprise yourself with. Because that's the other beauty. I have. Wow, I'm glad I'm not. Thank my mind today because I'm not leaving anything out. You can't fuck with mirrors if you broke up.
you can't or you can you what do you mean
Mirrors
mirrors
are kryptonite to broke up gangster.
okay so
You know
you're looking at
Superman, right?
yourself
Yeah, you know Superman. Superman's
right
weakness is
right
kryptonite,
right
right?
so
So basically, what I'm saying is, you see yourself, you're gonna realize you exist.
which okay so then you see yourself and what happens what is the thought that comes to the mind
You no longer believe you're the animal or creature or thing you're trying to be. It's like a vampire realizing
wow
his own
okay
reflection.
okay so you would say don't focus with mirrors so much
Don't look at mirrors. You use recording. You use recording to trial yourself, trial and error yourself,
because then you can tap into something else you're not looking at the
without
feedback
caring,
of the
without
physical world right you don't
right.
want the physical world as reflection we need that other world that other dimension that would
You don't want your eyes to see you trying to be what you believe in, because then you won't believe it. It's just, yo,
okay
be real, right? You know how I got so crazy with frames, and I also changed the narrative with frames,
mm.
and also like I'm probably like a big reference of like breakup overall, where it's like, dude, there's like this is just my way, like you know what I mean? But it became popular.
Hmm.
I went diagonal.
You went diagonal what do you mean diagonal
My lines are diagonal, not square based. Most of the stuff in the early days was left to right, square based,
oh
like breakup, like
okay
hands out, look like hands out like
yeah
this,
yeah
yeah, right?
so you were going like wow okay okay
And then for a reference real quick, just from my childhood, this is how this started. Because me being a comic book kid, oh, don't mind the hat that eats my head.
that's so cool that's such a dope
Right?
hat
So I used the brim of my hat as a sword to cut people off. for me to cut them off and cut them off from my interaction with them so I can believe in what I'm doing. Keep the belief system low. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And even these are my way to block out people's personalities and seeing what they feel about what I'm doing instead of me just being the entity I am and just performing. So I
Wow.
use the hat to cut, like I use the hat as a tracer too, like for lines, right?
Yes.
But I also used it to like keep over my eyes and cut people off from their reactions, or so I could just do me, like
Oh, so
unapologetically.
you're not influenced. You're not being pressured. You're not influenced by the environment. You're really trying to tap as much as you can into this thing, this form.
That you believe in, and you want to wear it as an armor.
Okay, this brings me to another question, and then I got one more question.
Now you're good.
Um, damn, my wait, hold on. I'll be right back. Let me I gotta close the window. Like, look.
It's like, oh shit happening. Animals starting to attack you like they don't want you to know.
I know. I don't know what's going on. It feels like some fly came out of nowhere.
Fly came out. No, don't tell them about our style.
Right. Some creature coming out of nowhere. But the clothes. Now that you've mentioned the hat, is there clothes that you feel works with the style, or clothes that complements this movement? Is it or is it not? Maybe clothes doesn't really play a
No, clothes does play a part. It's just the fact that I think at this point with the level now, it's not as prominent as it used to be. But it like for some people like really building, they should like find a look for how they dress that actually helps their style. It actually is a part of the because I'll get this out of the way just now so it could be on this live. It could be remembered. Basically, Bruckup has a chart system for mastery. Like I'm talking about like not just mastery because mastery is in levels itself, but we're talking about like actual. We know birth and we know fully matured. We know the whole thing. So it's first you start, shoulder pop, dance hall stuff, get into dance hall, shoulder pop, whatever. Master your own rhythm, like we talked about. Start working, making your own ideal approaches, and then eventually, because we do trademark moves too. The thing is with us, we make trademarks. So like you'll work on you're grafting an illusion for so long, so you have that move. So that's the reason why we go with trademarks, and a lot of other stuff is just natural happenings because of skill, right? But from there, once you really step off of just being so dancehall-y, and now you're just working on being on point and sharp, and you still got all the dancehall aspects, but it's more like more you, right? That's more New York City Bruckup, where it's like this shit is like, okay, I can see that son is doing it how he feel like doing it. It's still reggae, it's still going hard to the beats, but he has a whole science and his own little patterns and stuff to him.
Right.
Okay, boom. That's when you're in your own style, New York City style, customized, personalizations. All right, then you go to freeform, where freeform is like, okay, now I want to fuck with micro movements. I want to move smaller. I want to use empathy. And I didn't get to talk about these things, but now that I'm in this
Yeah. Please.
It's modernized. It's obviously emotion based. It's not raunchy. It's not aggressive, and it's not angry. You get what I'm saying? It's swag. It's confidence. It's empathy, and it's moving smaller and lighter touch, a lighter touch. So it's basically the animation style of Bruckup. Like if it was like a direct, this is more focused on being animated. Freeform would be that for Bruckup, right? Not to mention the music change. The bop is different. It's a hip hop now. Now it's this. Crisscross. You remember Crisscross when in the video shoot? They were like that same type of vibe that we took away the arms, we took away the dance, and we was like lock.
Wow.
So that's the base. Like we take away the dance off from Bruckup, with this, it's that bop, it's the locking and the double take and then the whole hip hop feel. That's what that explains a lot of the newer stuff that you've seen in me or different times when I dance. That's me being more freeform. But if I'm like dancing and I'm wilding, that's more like just me doing Bruckup, New York Bruckup, or a little bit of traditional / whatever, right? But this is the realm that you get to the end of the freeform stuff. Now you're your own master of how you approach it. You're dancing all these different types of songs and making these artistic performances that doesn't really resemble Bruckup, but the control from Bruckup is being used, right? This is where the emulation phase comes in. Now you start going, okay, who the fuck do I want to be? Do I want to wear a cape? Do I want to change my look? Do I want to be this thing? What do I want? So now you start pulling from things outside and completely emulating towards taking all this mastery you got, but now you want to use it to emulate and pull things from all over so you can kind of not in a bad way, but you're like umbrellaing yourself. You're trying to get into your own umbrella, and that's the market. That's the end game. That's the market. That's like you marketing
I
yourself.
see. Wow. Wow. I've never spoken or heard of someone to start from square one or point one of having no experience, learn the moves, then go into, okay, now it's time for the next level, and to the point of now you are your own brand, as you're saying. Just the way you explain, I haven't heard that. Um, wow. Okay.
It's a very refined tunnel that we we meticulously cared about. Well, at least
Yes.
I know we all lived it, but I cared to map it.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Man, this is my last question. I could keep talking for more. I do know also just because of time for myself as well.
Yes, yes.
Um,
No, I have the time, but it's on
yeah,
you. If you got things you got to do, I completely understand.
man, definitely, this is incredible, all this, and for all the information. But my last question would be, what would you, for people watching, for everyone that's watching, anyone watching, what's a message you would like to tell them? And it could be about dance. It could be what we talked about. It could be outside of the room we talked about. But if there was a message that you would want to tell an audience, the public, what is something you would want to say?
Um,
And no, no rush. I know
no, no,
it's a
no.
big,
I
it's a
just want
big
to make
one.
sure. I just want to
Yeah,
make sure I coined this
yeah.
properly. Um, you're in control of your own destiny, regardless of the rules and the things that's laid out before you beforehand, in anything you do. So you have to make the choice to be more. It's up to
Mm,
you to be more. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, no matter what thing you're doing, no matter what talent you're partaking in. You should want to be remembered as someone who has their own way,
mhm,
not just being just good at something that someone left behind, and now you're just good at that thing that that other guy is. It's a reflection of his idea.
mm,
We have our minds are too big for us to settle on someone else's ideas or not expand off of them.
mm, mm,
So if anything, I want to say to people is basically, when it comes to anything you get into, just try to make it your own. Like for real, don't. If you go to a class and someone's showing you your routine, don't go to the class.
mm, mhm, mhm,
If they're showing you a practice sequence that everyone is going to do in the room, don't go to the class. It's
mm.
just my
Right.
personal opinion. I feel like everybody is individual and everybody's body is different, and everybody's body needs to be cared for and taught to move differently because of that change. As far as like, us, some of us are taller than others, some of us are shorter than others, some of us weigh more than others, some of us
Right.
are lean and
Right.
athletic, some of
Right.
us aren't. You know what I mean? Some of us are agile and some of us aren't. Like, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You don't want a generation of people that can't use their legs,
Mm-hmm.
don't bend down to the ground, stay in one place. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I just say expand yourself. When you get something, when you learn something, change it, make it yours.
Make it.
In a nutshell, to nutshell it, that's there you go.
Wow. No, and I 100% support that. I really do. I even with my own journey of dance, I definitely tell people like just, explore, be you, create, find that thing, Use the foundations and such, but then you gotta go. You gotta figure it out. Wow. Okay. Wow. Ghost, I wanna I wanna thank you again for taking time to share the stories, man, the
Of
history, and
course.
just a slice of your life. You know what you're doing right now, and what you are doing and continuing, and just we all appreciate it. I'm gonna speak on behalf of everyone here. We appreciate you, Ghost, and
I
and
appreciate everyone too. Yes, everyone who came to listen and took the time. I appreciate y'all as well.
yes, sir, yes, sir. But let's definitely. Yeah, definitely want to stay in touch, and definitely you live in New York, I believe.
No, I'm in Jersey. I'm
Jersey.
right outside New York. I'm
Okay,
in Newark.
okay. I have family lives in Pennsylvania, and I mean I do have family lives in New York. So if I'll let you know if there's ever some time. I'd love to meet you in person. So
Oh
or
yeah, I'm with Jamal now. Jamal will be here till the 20th of September, so he's in town from the UK, and we're training every day. We were on lives a couple times. If you've seen, I had some people come here. I'm just training them. I had a researcher from Washington out here. She's learning Bruck up, so I was training her. Like, there's no limit. I actually got people hitting me while we're talking, asking me my rates and all this stuff because this is like every day. I don't do
yeah,
anything but teach, and every once in a while gigs and other things. But
Yeah.
also I edit and I do
No,
graphic design as well.
nice.
So yeah,
Nice. No, that's dope. And again, of course, if you're ever in LA, please let
of
me know. And also,
course.
you got a place to stay if you need like some, whatever. So
Oh, I
let me,
appreciate
let
that,
me.
man. I appreciate that. Same as shit. If it's not full here, I got you. Same thing.
I appreciate that. I hear you. I hear you. And everyone here, for real, hit up Ghost. Like, hit him up. Take a class. Like, for real. If you just tuned in, like, incredible information. Not even just dance, but just in life, just to look at life, and that's really gold. Information that goes beyond just one art form. So again, Ghost, appreciate you, and yeah, man, much love, much love.
I appreciate you as well, man. I would hope that we're gonna work, man. We need to work because you were looking crazy out there. That's you have a life in the Brucket world. There's a life for you there.
I
So
appreciate that, man. Again, like I know I shared a little bit before, but like my for this whole year, my journey is to focus on what is it to look unreal. That's really that also is part of what inspired this conversation because of you, of just who you are and and the culture that you coming from and how do you look unreal within that culture. So, I definitely yeah, man. I feel like we definitely gonna link up sometime. Some way, somehow, sometime, like
yeah, of course. I'm looking forward to it, brother.
yes, sir. Take care, Ghost.
Yes, you too, man.
Peace, peace.